過的日子，現在剩下我獨行，如何讓心聲一一講你知？從來無人明白我，唯一你給我好日子，有你有我有情有生有死有義，多少風波都願闖，只因彼此不死的目光。有你有我有情有天有海有地，不可猜測總有天意，才珍惜相處的日子。有別話亦未多講，只拋低這個傷心的漢子。沉睡了，誰分享今生的日子？活着但是沒靈魂，才明白生死之間的意思。情濃完全明白了，才甘心披上孤獨衣。有你有我有情有天有海有地。
The island of Tinian in the western Pacific. The crew of the Enola Gay prepares to depart for Hiroshima. "17 seconds after 8:15 in the morning, they dropped the first atomic bomb."
He was reaching up to catch a red dragonfly on his hand against the blue sky. And there was a blinding flash, and he disappeared. And so did tens of thousands of other human beings.
During a series of meetings in Potsdam, Germany, the final doom of Japan is settled by the Big Three and their advisors. Delivering an ultimatum of unconditional surrender to the Nipponese warlords, the Japanese suffers the consequences. Swarms of B-29s and carrier task forces carry destruction to the Japanese homeland. These and the following scenes of the opening of the final assault on Japan were photographed by newsreel, Navy, and Signal Corps cameramen. The natural power of the universe is harnessed in the new atomic bomb. Its tremendous possibilities are explained in this chart. The mightiest, most destructive bombs yet produced, such as England's terrifying Grand Slam, weighing 11 tons, are puny midgets compared with the new atomic wonder. One of the first to smash the atom was Dr. Ernest Lawrence of California, inventor of the cyclotron, the atom-smashing machine. With global war, the government stepped into the picture. General Groves, head of the project, teamed up with Vannevar Bush, government director of science and research, and with Dr. Richard Tolman, technological expert. Seeking for the best base material to carry the explosive atoms, hundreds of prospectors ranged the province of Alberta. Scientists made uncounted tests before deciding on uranium, which contained atoms easiest of all to crack. The results justified the tremendous efforts. The President reports on the startling developments that sealed Japan's fate.
We are now prepared to destroy more rapidly and completely every productive enterprise the Japanese have in any city. We shall destroy their docks, their factories, and their communications. Let there be no mistake. We shall completely destroy Japan's power to make war. It was to spare the Japanese people from utter destruction that the ultimatum of July the 26th was issued at Potsdam. Their leaders promptly rejected that ultimatum. If they do not now accept our terms, they may expect a rain of ruin from the air, the like of which has never been seen on this earth. Behind this air attack will follow sea and land forces in such numbers and power as they have not yet seen, and with the fighting skill of which they are already well aware.
It was a hell of an explosion, and well, I guess that's all, sir.
That's enough. Holy smoke. What's the matter with you, Weldon? Well, it just occurred to me, sir, there, but by the grace of God went I. That's the beginning of wisdom.
Well, sir, how soon do I get a chance to knock one of them down?
Soon enough.
It's a bomb dropped, putting bits of paper on your head to hide from the nuclear explosions, right? You remember those days? So today, America has 30
You have a grandstand seat here to one of the most momentous events in the history of science. In less than a minute, you will see the most powerful explosion ever witnessed by human eyes. The blast will come out of the horizon just about there. And this is the significance of the moment. This is the first full-scale test of a hydrogen device. If the reaction goes, we're in the thermonuclear era.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The first hydrogen bomb obliterated an island and blew a crater a mile wide in the reef. Today we build weapons with many times the power. The place is Anahuac. Once there were 47 islands here. Now only 45 remain. It is. The temperatures of Earth have stayed in a range of liquid water. Its oceans have never frozen nor boiled away. Could life be the reason why?
1979, when someone plugged a war games tape into the fail-safe computer, the Pentagon. The computer made a mistake, and it detected weapons coming from Russia, so it put the whole world on nuclear alert for 6 minutes. 3 squadrons of planes took off towards Russia, armed with nuclear weapons. At the 7th, the president was to be officially notified, but they couldn't find him. And if it hadn't been stopped at that point, 14 minutes later, we would have been annihilated. The weapons and their missiles go out into space. The space race has been mainly about weapons. They re-enter the Earth's atmosphere at 20 times the speed of sound and then land accurately on target. Meanwhile, the satellite and the radar from the other side detects the attack and the buttons press. So the weapons pass virtually in space and the whole thing's over within about half an hour. Half an hour. So you can't really talk about an aggressor in half an hour, can you? Or it's your fault. I mean, you don't even have time to think. I mean, all you can have time to do is press the button. And concrete and steel are thrown around like matchsticks. Millions of shards of flying glass as windows disintegrate. People decapitated, organ injuries, ruptured lungs, compound fractures. That compound fracture means the bones sticking out of the skin. And so on. Ignite everything that was inflammable within an area of 3,000 square miles. So everything would burn and the fires would coalesce, sucking the air in with hurricane-force winds to the center.
Now there are 50,000 nuclear weapons poised for war. And one effect of a nuclear exchange has been overlooked. The cumulative damage by thousands of exploding warheads to Earth's delicately balanced climate. Recently, scientists began to study this new and terrifying problem. One of them is Brian Toon.
This is an incredibly unpleasant thing to consider. The group that I'm involved with found it to be very difficult to do this work just because you had to think about what would happen if there were a nuclear war. People didn't want to think about it. They wanted to shut it out of their minds and not imagine that it would ever happen or could ever happen.
But a rehearsal for the unthinkable has already been staged in the final months of World War II. Bombing raids over cities like Tokyo and Dresden created great firestorms that raised huge plumes of smoke. Until recently, the importance of smoke had been ignored. Brian Toon.
After we'd been considering for several months how dust clouds raised by nuclear weapons throwing soil into the air might affect the climate, we discovered some work by Paul Crutzen and Johns Burks, which suggested that massive quantities of smoke might be created primarily through the burning of forests and wildlands that would be near places that were attacked by weapons. Now, this is very important because smoke is very powerful in interacting with sunlight. It's very good at stopping sunlight from reaching the surface.
Smoke is the key ingredient in understanding the after effects of the first nuclear war. After the blast, the shock wave smashes what remains. Chemical factories and refineries further feed the flames. Huge firestorms whip up great winds and send enormous clouds of smoke miles into the atmosphere. There are enough strategic nuclear weapons in the world to ignite every major city in the northern hemisphere and produce enough